Jim Poff is here, president of the Conservative Caucus. Jim, welcome. No shortage of things to talk about. Let's dive in. Wonderful to see you, sir. How you doing this morning?
Doing well. Good to see you, Mark.
I want to do some global things like Ukraine. I want to do some big national things like mail-in ballots, which Trump wants to get rid of. But first, let's do a local thing. You know a lot about Washington. Is crime absolutely better, even in just these days since Trump loaded some National Guard troops onto the streets?
Oh, absolutely. When I first went to work on Capitol Hill in 2010, went to work for a former Kansas Congressman, Tim Huelskamp, as his chief of staff, D.C. was decent. Like, it still had a bit of crime, and it wasn't perfect, but the police force was fully staffed. I could see across from the place that I would stay during the week. I flew home on the weekends. A Section 8 housing, there'd be trouble there, but the police would be very quickly. Muriel Bowser becomes mayor. Take George Floyd and BLM later, and it went way out of control. But everybody I talk to and what I notice truly shows that there's a big difference already.
When you take a look at the positions people have taken on this, I mean, I don't want to be too glib, but the Democrat Party, the liberal reaction to this, that more law enforcement on the streets is somehow bad, fair or unfair to now refer to the Democrat Party as being pro-crime. They actively want crime to get worse now so that they can say Trump was wrong.
Yeah, they don't only believe that for Americans who commit crimes, but also for illegals who commit crimes. I mean, they're just standing up for it all. And listen, we did have at one time, leading up in to the last 20 years, a real need for some criminal justice reform because there were some things that had gotten out of control. What Democrats did is they started to move that agenda in a way that they could politically set themselves up to always be the answer to the problem, so to speak, using air quotes there. And the politicians in general like to do this, right? They like to make things really bad through government programs so that they can come in and be the heroes to fix it, because I'm the only one that can fix it. We got to change this government program. Well, Democrats have put that on steroids, being very pro-crime, truly bringing disaster onto the streets. And I mean, I look at the many videos that are coming out of people from D.C. as well, not just watching on my own. And people, black, white, Hispanic, everybody's really happy about this.
Yeah, there are people who said there. And listen, I'm going to give people credit for being sincere. That unlike a lot of leftist protests, it's not paid actors. But there are folks, roving camera crews have found people who said, I didn't vote for Trump. I don't even know if I like the guy yet. But I tell you what I do like is safe streets. I like the feeling like I'm not going to be stabbed on the way to the subway. It's crazy. I mean, this is another one of those 80-20 issues. Might even be 90-10. Jim Poff, Conservative Caucus. Let's go globally. And then we'll talk about American voting and getting rid of mail-in voting. Just these last few days, how has it struck you, the amazing spectacle of Trump and Putin in Alaska? Then he comes back, gets in a round of golf or two, and welcomes the entire continent of Europe to the Oval Office, where European leaders, speaking of people who are not predisposed to like Trump very much, have to admit that progress is good, that peace is good, and it may be at hand. What do you think is going to happen in the coming weeks?
Oh, I think actually the potential is for some very good things. Listen, Putin's pretty slimy, so he may wriggle out of this thing again because he does have designs that are pretty nefarious. He's pretty evil. But it's insane to have ever said that Donald Trump was so pro-Putin. He's just trying to work things out to make them happen. At a base level, what this shows us is that if you just have an American president that's willing to be assertive, purposeful, and founded in the American ideal, and assert that strongly on the international stage, more times than not, the international community is going to respond positively to it. Because let's be honest, their constituents, politicians all over the world, at least the ones that have to get elected in Europe and otherwise, their constituents love a strong America. They know that a strong America is very important for world peace. Donald Trump has understood that for a long period of time. And I'm really encouraged and pleased by the fact that he's showing that in this instance. But more to the point, I saw a picture. I remember there was in his first administration, he was with European leaders, and Angela Merkel of Germany was hovering over him on a desk, and they were all mad because he was calling for NATO to get in line. Now, fast forward to today, and NATO has gotten in line. They're actually doing their part, the European countries are. We're not carrying that weight anymore, and the European leaders are coming to Donald Trump. That's what leadership does in the long run if you're willing to show it. So I have great hope for what might happen in the Russia-Ukraine thing, because Donald Trump's at the head of this effort while not trying to twist people's arms in the wrong way, knowing that, we don't have all the answers, that Zelensky and Putin need to make a deal. I think it's been a great effort.
He has also played this perfectly in terms of there are people who have been confused. How can Trump supposedly bully Zelensky a few months ago in that meeting where they were talking about the minerals deal? You don't have the cards. You don't have the cards. That was a tough day for Zelensky in the Oval Office. And now you get Zelensky coming in after the Trump talks with Putin in Alaska. He's dressed better. Everything goes better. There's more love in the room. Exactly. Trump is extremely transactional, extremely reactive to what's going on at that moment, kind of like people are in their regular daily lives. And it shows that he's not in the bag. He's not in the tank for anybody, not for Putin, not for Zelensky. He's just going to be an honest broker looking to carve out something that's best for America and best for Europe. And it's funny, there are folks who can't fathom that.
No, that's absolutely right. And again, it just reemphasizes how important America's role on the international stage is. Zelensky came in that first meeting wanting to strong-arm Donald Trump. You don't strong-arm the United States, much less Donald Trump. And unless you've got a weak-kneed leader like Joe Biden that's just willing to capitulate to everything. This is why there's a lot of hope for what we can do. Politics is transactional, by the way. I mean, you need these transactions to move things forward. Donald Trump only has 4 years. That makes it even more transactional. But the transactions have to matter. They need to be made in such a manner to make them long term, both to hold future presidents accountable to a good decision by really embedding it into the system, and then making the case publicly for why that embedding needs to remain. We've had just the opposite for many years now. We've had Democrats embedding DEI and ESG, embedding the endangerment finding and climate change that Lee Zeldin has just said that he's taking away. We're getting the opposite of that now. We've suffered under 10 years of a lack of liberty in this country. We're seeing liberty imposed, so to speak, if you can call it that, through the Trump administration right now. That's having positive effects locally because we're getting better results here in the United States and more to come. But it also is positive internationally because when people see that strength returning here, then they're going to take our word more directly internationally.
Last thing on Ukraine, let's say we're blessed with peace, a negotiated settlement, and it actually happens. It's another success for Trump, and not just success for Trump, success for America, success for Europe, success for the world. It's great and everybody's happy. But then after the peace, you've got to have peacekeeping. What role, like on a scale of 0 to 10, boots on the ground or nothing at all, what role should America play in the post-peace peacekeeping? I don't know if I want troops over there watching over things. Trump put his toe in the pool of the possibility of air support. What do you think an American role in peacekeeping should look like?
Absolutely no boots on the ground, like 0 on boots on the ground. Europe can handle it. They've got effective enough militaries to deal with the security guarantees. I have no problem with us providing the kind of weapons opportunities that can backfill the military need that certainly would exist for any security agreement to really have any teeth to it. So that's where I'm at. As a country on the international stage, we need to retract more from engaging in efforts, and we need to leave the local community involved there to learn how to do their own security. It's the whole how do you feed a person? Do you give them a fish, or do you teach them how to fish? Europe is going to learn again how to fish in this situation. And that's going to be very good, because that's the only way to provide any long-term security in Europe.
Europe is going to learn how to fish. That is pure poetry. In our remaining couple of minutes, let's talk elections. Everything we do is geared toward the midterms. The midterms, got to win the midterms, which we do. How are those midterms going to be conducted? President Trump the other day on Truth Social says we got to get rid of this mail-in ballot nonsense. We need watermarked paper ballots. Is that a pipe dream? I think here in Texas, there's an eye toward returning to the old reliability of paper ballots. How do you think that crusade is going to go?
Well, when you look at the progression of Donald Trump, they got caught off guard, the Democrats, in 2016. They went all out to change the way we did elections, embedding mail-in voting even further than it already had been up to that time. And then in 2024, they were so focused on the lawfare, I don't think they were as much focused on what the election outcome would be. So that leads me to say this. We need to get rid of mail ballots. By the way, Article 1, Section 4, Clause 2 of the Constitution does say that Congress can regulate elections. States start the process. Congress can come in and regulate them as well. One of the regulations we need to have is to eliminate early voting and to eliminate mail ballots. Why? Because you and I, we grew up where you showed up at an election place, and the way you tabulated your ballot was a paper ballot or one of those mechanical lever machines, when you say, which lever did you push? That's what it was. And those things are not subject to the kind of tampering like the ballot stuffing that we saw of this city councilman recently. I'm suddenly forgetting what city that was in. And we literally have them on, putting ballots in the box, which, by the way, how do you know that those ballots are being handled properly in this box sitting out there? Electioneering happens at the door if you do not do this right, and you can't validate unless you're seated person in person proving they can vote.
Spectacular. Jim Poff, president of the Conservative Caucus. Great time. Covered a lot of stuff I knew we would. Thank you, sir. Time well spent. Appreciate you.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.